Hello there, good evening. Welcome to Look North on the programme tonight. The teenager who killed schoolboy Harvey Wilgoose in Sheffield has been sentenced to a minimum of 16 years and named for the first time.
I feel like he's been made an example of, to be honest. I'm really pleased with it not just being 15 years, it was 16 years, and that he was named.
We'll be live at Sheffield Crown Court. Also tonight, a Sheffield mother whose sons were killed by their father 11 years ago says a change in the law will save so many children's lives. The road safety campaigner killed on the very road he wanted to improve. Now local residents carry on his campaign. And fast-track friendship. Supercar owners taking lonely older people out in South Yorkshire.
You just can't put it into words, can you?
No, you
it's
can't.
Fantastic. It's the most wonderful experience.
Well, I hope you made the most of today's autumnal sunshine. It's been a beautiful day across the region, but tomorrow we have got some warnings in place for strong winds and some heavy rain for a time. Join me for the very latest forecast.
Hello there, good evening. Thank you for your company this Wednesday evening. A 15-year-old boy has been given a life sentence with a minimum of 16 years for the murder of Sheffield teenager Harvey Wilgoose. At Sheffield Crown Court today, the judge named the killer for the first time as Mohammed Umar Khan. Harvey, who was also 15, was stabbed in the chest by Mohammed at All Saints Catholic High School in Sheffield during their lunch break back on the 3rd of February. In a statement, Harvey's sister Sophie said this was not just a crime against Harvey, this was a crime against all who loved him. Ollie Constable has been in court for us today. Ollie.
Amy, Harvey's family has spent many hours in the public gallery, sat in a courtroom behind me for the trial of his killer. Today, they were back again, this time to hear him be sentenced to 16 years in custody. As is the case with any trial involving a young person, there are automatic reporting restrictions usually placed by a judge. Well, this means you cannot do any reporting which could potentially identify the defendant. But following a jury finding that person guilty back in August, the BBC, along with other media organisations, argued that it was now in the public interest to name him. We said it was important that the public knew the identity of people who committed crimes as serious as murder. The judge agreed, and we can now tell you that Harvey's murderer is 15-year-old Mohammed Umar Khan. The judge, Mrs Justice Ellen Bogan, said knife crimes and the circumstances of this case are of substantial public interest, and talking about young people using weapons would show its devastating impact. Harvey arrived at school on that February morning for the last time. Walking through the corridor, he's seen to meet Mohammed Umar Khan. A few hours later, he stabbed Harvey while on a lunch break. Khan, seen here with the green pin, is still holding the knife, being spoken to by school staff. Harvey lay on the ground outside, fatally injured. For about a year, Harvey had regularly missed school. There were a number of reasons, including anxiety, but more recently, a concern about weapons at the site. He had texted his dad just days before saying, "I'm not going in that school while people have knives." Since his death, Harvey's family has campaigned against knife crime, staging marches through Sheffield.
Morning, come on through. Do you want to stop there a minute?
And donating a knife arch to a school.
I know if knife arches don't solve the problem, kids have got to be educated on the impact of their lives, of the family's lives, and of the person that's done it's family's life as well, because they've got an empty bedroom.
During a month-long trial in the summer, Khan said him and Harvey were friends. Khan said he was bullied by others while at school. He claimed he couldn't remember stabbing Harvey in the chest and denied murdering him. A jury found him guilty. Today, his family arrived at court to see their son's 15-year-old murderer be sentenced. Khan was said to have an interest in weapons and had carried a knife while at school multiple times, apparently for protection.
A knife which, in your words, you had bought because it was scary. Your history of carrying weapons, including on school grounds, the fact that your offence took place on school premises, and the fact that numerous pupils and teachers were present at the time are all aggravating factors in this case.
In a statement to the court, his sister said they wanted justice, not only for Harvey, but his family, who must carry his loss forever. Outside, his mum Caroline said this.
I feel like he's been made an example of, to be honest. I'm really pleased with it not just being 15 years, it was 16 years, and that he was named.
Harvey's mum Caroline there ending that report. Well, we've seen the work that Harvey's family have been doing to try and steer people away from knife crime, including setting up a youth club in Harvey's name. His sister Sophie said Harvey's death shattered their world forever, saying his murder was cruel and inhumane. But this, of course, had a huge police investigation with young people, potentially those who were classmates of Harvey and those who may have seen what have happened, having to speak to police. For them, no doubt, it's been an incredibly traumatic time, seeing their friend stabbed in a place where he should have been safe. Well, before sentencing today, I've spoken with the senior investigating officer in this case, Detective Chief Inspector Andy Knowles of South Yorkshire Police. He said because of that, involving young people, it's been a unique case to work on.
The difficulty came from the fact that this had taken place within school premises in the middle of the school day, and that meant that you'd got about 1,000 young people on site, many of whom had witnessed what occurred and were understandably traumatised. And I think the challenge we had was the need to get in there as a crime scene and into a group of witnesses early to start getting the information that we needed and get control of it as a crime scene, but also balancing about the fact that they are, as I say, understandably traumatised and in need of support, and ultimately in need of getting them sent home to their families as quickly as possible, who would be rightly concerned about them.
Since Harvey's death, we've heard from all the parents who've been worried about sending their children to school. What work has South Yorkshire Police been doing to try and tell them that schools are still safe to go to?
So statistically, it is still very, very rare for people to carry a knife. But any instance where somebody wants to pick one up is one too many, and even more so when the decision is to take one into a school. So we're worried about it to the extent of we've seen what's happened once already in a South Yorkshire school, and nobody would want to see that repeated. I would ask young people now who know that somebody that they know is carrying a knife to call them out to their face, or if that's unsuccessful, to the responsible adults in charge of whatever location it is, and allow something to be done to remove that danger of those split-second devastating decisions.
Education there, clearly a top priority for South Yorkshire Police as they try and stop children and young people from carrying knives in the first place. And you can see the devastating consequences that this case has had. One young boy has died and another has been detained for 16 years. In Sophie Wilgoose's statement to the court earlier, she said that this was a crime against all who loved Harvey. She said the fear, pain and grief will stay with us for the rest of our lives.
Yeah, just heartbreaking. Ollie, thank you. Next tonight, a fourth abuse survivor from our region has resigned from their role in the government's inquiry into grooming gangs. Now, this comes as a second of two candidates to chair the inquiry. Former police officer Jim Gable has also pulled out of the process following criticism. Jessica, not her real name, was raped between the ages of 12 and 17 in Kirklees, West Yorkshire. She says she was shocked when she learned that two of the candidates in the running to chair the inquiry had links to police or social services.
When the two potential chairs got leaked, I was extremely shocked. I was gobsmacked, because how can either of them, people who have links to the police and their social services, be trusted to be the ones at the head of this inquiry, when they're the ones who have failed us over decades and are still failing us?
Well, earlier the Prime Minister defended the inquiry, inviting survivors to rejoin, saying that whether they did or not, we owe it to them to answer their concerns. He added, injustice will have no place to hide. You are watching Wednesday's Look North, still to come on tonight's programme. Sheffield Wednesday supporters are protesting against the club's owner ahead of tonight's match. But before that, villagers in North Yorkshire are calling for changes to the A19 after a local resident who'd campaigned for decades was killed on the road. John Duggan was a former parish and district councillor who spent years calling for safety improvements at the Rickle junction. Well, this week, the newly formed Rickle Roads Action Group will take their case to the County Council. Seb Sher reports.
This is the A19 north of Selby. People living near here say dangerous driving like this is common. Just days before this was filmed.
At 7 with the latest for North Yorkshire, I'm Nick Morris. A skip lorry driver's been arrested after a man's died in a crash in North Yorkshire. It happened in Rickle between Yorkshire.
John was a lovely man. He worked tirelessly to make lives better for other people.
John Michael Duggan died as he pulled out of this junction on the 1st of August. He'd lived in the village of Rickle, served on the parish council and campaigned to make the A19 safer.
My husband was one of the first on the scene. He had to call the emergency services and stay at the location whilst John was recovered from his car. It affected him deeply, and that evening when we discovered it was John, who was a friend of my husband's, it was very difficult for him.
Sue co-founded a campaign group after John's death with other villagers who want to see changes to the junctions.
I had an accident here, which luckily nobody was injured, but was due to somebody going very, very fast down this road and overtaking somebody who was turning into the village. Ever since then, I actually don't turn right here. I always turn left and then turn round in the junction further down the road.
When you hear sirens, like you can hear now going past, everybody will tell you the same in this village. Our heart drops and we think there's been another accident at the junction. The minute we hear a helicopter in the sky, we are on edge. We think it's the Yorkshire Air Ambulance.
As we're chatting with the group, Jason approaches. He lives right next to the junction.
Pulling out onto this road every morning for work is a nightmare.
And it's not just drivers who find it difficult to get in and out of Rickle.
We were lucky then, we got straight across, but that's quite unusual. You're usually stuck in the middle.
Yeah.
And an ambulance came past earlier, I was stuck in the middle, go with its lights on, and you feel like you're going to end up under a vehicle.
The A19 recently saw more serious crashes than any other A road in this area. The group say evidence from counting and filming vehicles and a survey back their case for a 40-mile-an-hour speed limit. They also want a roundabout, which was promised to John Duggan and the parish council in 2006.
We don't put £1 million on somebody's life. To us, it's priceless. So if they put priceless in their formula, we'd have a roundabout now.
They'll take their evidence to North Yorkshire Council on Friday. Seb Cheer, BBC Look North, Rickle.
The mother of two boys killed by their father in Penistone has been promised a change in the law after a face-to-face meeting with the Prime Minister at Downing Street. Claire Throstle's children were killed in a house fire started deliberately by her ex-husband in 2014, and we have followed her story many times over the years. She says judges in family court should not be able to presume that a child is safe when seeing a parent. A warning that viewers may find some of the details in Heidi Tomlinson's report upsetting.
Holding on to precious memories, a bittersweet moment at Downing Street for Claire Throstle, whose sons were murdered by their father 11 years ago.
I don't know whether I'd be having the courage that you've had.
Yesterday, as a result of Claire's campaign, Sir Keir Starmer vowed to change the law surrounding parental access. Specifically, the presumption that contact with both parents is usually in the child's best interest.
We're going to deliver this. Please. We said we would, and we will.
Her two young sons.
Today at Prime Minister's Questions, Claire was invited to the Commons to hear the formal declaration.
Claire's bravery and her campaign is humbling. And today, I'm pleased we can announce that we will repeal the presumption of parental involvement, putting children's safety first.
It's not for judges who are strangers to children and get only snapshots of their lives to make decisions that then end their lives. They can no longer just presume that a child is safe to see a parent.
It'll take time to change the law, but that change will be Claire's boys' legacy. 12-year-old Jack and 9-year-old Paul died after an unsupervised access visit with their dad in Penistone. He deliberately set the house on fire, killing himself and his sons.
He barricaded them in the attic and set 14 separate fires with all my possessions, and he made sure that they couldn't get out of the property. Jack tried to save his brother, and when Paul fell, overcome by the smoke, he went back for Paul and he pulled him to the edge of the hatchway. But because he was walking backwards, he fell down, and he said to as many people as he could that my dad did this and he did it on purpose.
Claire says she warned the authorities about her ex-husband, but a serious case review found the boy's death couldn't have been predicted. It's hoped a new law will prevent such tragedies in the future.
We know that there have been 67 children who have died at the hands of domestically abusive parents in the last 30 years as a result of the presumption of contact, and it will mean that the family court system has to look at what's in the best interests of the child, putting their safety first.
It shows everybody that we need to hold on to hope, even if it's just a glimmer in the beginning, that we never have to give up, and that we'll do anything for our children.
Her strength is incredible, isn't it? This is something she's been fighting for 11 years now. OK, let's turn to football. What a great feeling for Sheffield United today. Last night, the Blades hauled themselves out of the Championship relegation zone with a much-needed 3-1 win at Blackburn. All three of United's goals came in the second half. It was Harrison Burrows who put the Blades ahead with 20 minutes left. He then helped Tyrese Campbell seal United's second win in a row. Sheffield Wednesday remain bottom of the table before their match against Middlesbrough tonight. Now, we are crossing to the other side of the football city of Sheffield now, to Hillsborough, where the mood among Sheffield Wednesday fans could not be more different. Their teams lie bottom of the table, but there is so much more going on ahead of tonight's match against Middlesbrough. Paul Ogden is there for us and can explain all.
A very eerie atmosphere, honestly, ahead of kick-off tonight between Sheffield Wednesday and Middlesbrough. It's an 8 o'clock start, but by Hillsborough's normal standards, very few people walking up to the turnstiles. There's a reason for that. Of course, Sheffield Wednesday have got severe financial problems. There is a threat of administration, possibly, or even worse, a winding up petition from the HMRC hanging over the club's head, and widespread protests about the way that the club has been managed by owner Dave Chansiri over the last few years. It's come to a head tonight with an attempted full boycott by the Sheffield Wednesday supporters and a light show of varying projected slogans of protest on the side of the Hillsborough Stadium. The boycott is something else, though. For Sheffield Wednesday fans, like our guest tonight, Brian Crank, not to turn up and go into the stadium, yourself included, Brian.
Correct. I won't be going into the stadium tonight. I'm a season ticket holder and I won't be going in.
Why, and what are you trying to achieve?
What we're trying to achieve, this is a trust-sponsored boycott, but I fully support it. I'm a member of the trust. Tonight we're trying to visually demonstrate what Hillsborough is going to look like in the future if Dave Chansiri continues to own our football club. We know that early bird season tickets will be on sale relatively soon. He normally puts them on sale early in the season compared to most clubs, and I certainly wouldn't be renewing while Mr Chansiri is an owner of our football club, and that's what we're trying to show tonight, is that he cannot continue with this. He doesn't have the backing of the fans, and we need to get him out of our club so the club can progress.
We've featured on Look North many times the nature of your protests, which have been respectful, good-natured in many cases, Brian. How long can you continue this briefly? How long do you think you're going to have to wait before you get an answer?
We don't know. I don't think Mr Chansiri is going anywhere willingly, so he will not be doing that. So we need to keep this up, keep the pressure up, keep it building. This will only grow and grow until he actually sells the club, or in my opinion, more likely is forced to sell the club, because I don't think he's going anywhere willingly.
Remarkable. Brian is certainly not alone. You can expect usually upwards of 25,000 Sheffield Wednesday fans to watch any normal home game in normal circumstances. Tonight, there might be a very similar number of Middlesbrough fans and Sheffield Wednesday fans here to watch the 8 o'clock kick-off tonight. Back to you, Amy.
Yeah, certainly very eerie. Thanks, Oggy. Now, for many muggles, myself included, excitement about the new Harry Potter television series is building. Filming has been spotted around the southwest of England, but now production has moved here to Yorkshire. That is exciting, isn't it? A terrace street in Skipton, looking probably something a little bit like this, has been closed off for days as film crews shoot scenes, and Kathy Minton can tell us more.
As darkness falls, the witching hour approaches. Or should that be the witching and wizarding hour? Curious muggles peep out at the spectacle on their doorstep, and when the moment comes, it's lights, camera, action. The secretive production on a residential street in Skipton is going under the official title Brown Cat, but with scenes like this, no one is fooled. It's 24 years since Harry Potter and the world of Hogwarts first cast a spell on the big screen.
You're going to take someone's eye out. Besides, you're saying it wrong. It's Leviosa, not Leviosa.
Now HBO is filming a television series, but with most of the production so far taking place in the south, finding this set in Yorkshire was a surprise.
I've always been a big Harry Potter fan, so yeah, it was just for fluke really that it happened to be on the street next to where I live. So yeah, I just thought I'd come out and see what was going on really.
It's kind of nice to kind of have something being filmed here. It's just like a bit exciting for especially the younger ones. They're a bit like, what's going on here?
It's really cool because they never film anything near here, so it's really cool that they actually are filming something that good.
The series is expected to air in 2027. Kathy Minton, BBC Look North.
Oh, so exciting. And keeping on the magic theme, the UK's largest annual Arts and Lights Festival will begin tonight in Leeds. It is Light Night 2025. More than 48 separate light-based installations and projections will be on some of the city's most iconic buildings and spaces. Visitors can experience the sights tonight and tomorrow evening, and it's definitely worth a visit if you haven't been before. Now, finally tonight, we're going to switch gears and put full throttle to the pedal. Prepare for some joy. 82-year-old Bessie here from Sheffield has had the ride of her life. To meet her friends today, she's taking part in Granny Bini. Yes, that is actually a thing. Volunteer owners of supercars give older petrol heads like Bessie here a trip out to remember. And it's all to build for legal comfort, not speed, as Tom Ingle reports.
How do you do a royal wave?
Get ready, 82-year-old Betty is about to blow off some steam.
But I forgot my Tirara.
All done tight, my dear. How was that?
Brilliant!
Well, we didn't even break the speed limit.
Oh,
so
what did we not?
Welcome to the high-octane world of Gran Bini. A way to spice up even the most routine of trips between Sheffield and a Bayton friendship group. Didn't your mum ever tell you about getting into fast cars with young men?
Strange men? Nah, I think she were hoping for it at an early age.
Honestly, it's great to see the experience they have and the joy and the adrenaline they must get. Is crazy, but honestly, it's a great experience for them and myself as well.
Never leave this stuff.
92-year-old Bessie from Killamarsh is also out gently burning rubber today. She gets a trip in the McLaren, much apparently to the annoyance of her grandson.
I think he'll be spitting feathers at school today because his ambition is to be part of the McLaren team.
Grandma's got there first.
Yeah.
These are joy rides in every sense.
Here's your ride.
Hello.
But they come from a place of heartbreak. Towards the end of the pandemic, Mark's grandmother took her own life. He decided it was time to do something to fight loneliness.
I thought what better way to do something amazing is, in a wild, exciting way of getting people excited about life again. And for me, that's what Gran Bini stands for. Life is incredibly short. We've got to make the most of it. I feel blessed to be able to do this.
Who wouldn't want to give Grans a ride in your car? You buy these cars to make people smile, and that's the value for me.
Do they fiddle with the stereo, or do you have to tell them no, driver's prerogative on choosing the tunes?
No, they're very well behaved, surprisingly.
You can't put it into words, love. You just can't put it into words, can you?
No, you
it's
can't.
Fantastic. It's the most wonderful experience ever.
You'd forgive them for being more Sower Button than Jensen Button.
Give it a proper rev.
But Betty and Bessie prove no one's too old to pay reverence to the revs. Tom Ingle, BBC Look North, Sheffield.
You're having a brilliant time. Is there a minimum age to Lamborghini? Because I would love to be driven to work in one of those.
You're nearly there. Anyway, there's there's a lot of adverse weather to come. Let's get straight on with the forecast, shall we? First of all, a couple of pictures, autumn proper, and I tell you what, after the next few days with strong winds, there won't be many leaves left on the trees. And then a beautiful picture, that's Runswick Bay. That was absolutely stunning. You could have had the place to yourself, not a person on that beach. I hope you enjoyed it, because Runswick Bay will be battered by strong winds in the next 24 hours. If you've got any pictures on X, Instagram, you can send them on the Weather Watcher website as well. So we start with a warning, not everywhere. There's a rain and strong wind warning, mainly for eastern parts of our region. The strongest winds, North York Moors and coastal areas, where there'll be fairly widespread gales developing, courtesy of Storm Benjamin. There it is. You can see those tightly packed isobars mean strong winds, not just tomorrow, but they'll return again on Saturday. Saturday looks a nice day, but a proper autumnal feel, cold with lots of sunshine by then. Now, the area of rain is coming through the southwest at the moment. It's going to develop and swing this way. So after a fine start this evening, cloud will increase. Later tonight, we'll see those outbreaks of locally heavy rain. A feature especially for eastern areas. I'm not so sure there'll be too much rain in Pennine areas, and we'll see lowest temperatures down to 6 or 7 degrees. Tomorrow's high water times, a heavy sea developing along the coast, Filey 5:55, and again at 6:10. So cloudy and windy tomorrow with outbreaks of rain, most persistent in the east. As you can see, quite patchy in the west, and the whole system will ease eastwards through the afternoon. If you're lucky, you might see a bit of brightness in the west later in the day, but I think the wind will be a real feature, especially in the east, with widespread gales. These are maximum gusts, could be 50 to 60 for a time along the coast and on the moors. Feeling cold as well. That's the forecast.
Hold on to your hats and your brollies by the sound of it. Thanks for that, Paul. That is it from us, but Mark Ansell will be here with your late news at 10:30. Bye-bye for now.